But this quote right here, it shaped me so much because I knew what I really wanted, but I knew that the person that needed to do that was not who I was being every single day. And so, how was I going to achieve what I really wanted if I wasn't who I really needed to be in order to get that?
Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach.
Okay, you guys, thank you for coming back for another episode of Elevate Your Ride. I don't know how this is already our 100th episode. That sounds absolutely insane that we've been doing this for pretty much 2 years now. It's crazy. So, we really want to thank you guys for listening to us and supporting our show and for coming back week after week to try to elevate your ride. So, thank you guys. And we have a very, very cool episode for you today. This time of the year, things tend to slow down. Show season's pretty much over. The World Show is wrapping up right now as we're recording this. Championship season is over. There's a show or two here or there in December, but for the most part, everybody's kind of wrapped up, kind of taking a breather, getting ready for the holidays. Life just kind of slows down as far as goals this time of year. That's very, very common. And then usually January, it's like, all right, like time to ramp it up. If you feel like you need the rest, then obviously take the rest. But if you feel like you're missing some motivation and you just need like a kick in the pants, then keep listening because this is the episode for you. So, Lauren and I each picked 3 motivational quotes that speak to us as exhibitors, as competitors. So, we're going to share each of our quotes with you and talk about them. Hopefully, get you motivated, get you up off the couch, get you in the gym, get you journaling, get you back at the barn. So, here we go. The first quote that I have for you guys is from Abraham Lincoln. And it says, "Discipline is just choosing between what you want now and what you want most." And I feel like that quote is so important because it's so true. Your actions define what you want now versus what you want most. So let's say that I've had a really long day. I worked long hours. Let's say that for me, since I'm on calls all day long, let's say I had like 8 or 9 calls. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes talking and coaching all day long can be a little bit mentally exhausting. And I talk about exercise and horses all day long. And sometimes it can be like, ugh, like it's just for a little bit of a break. And it can be hard to find that discipline or that motivation to be like, all right, like it's time to go to the barn or it's time to go work out. And I find that if I give in to what I want that day and not what I want most, then I'm way more likely to fall off track. So if it's been a long day and my body just doesn't feel up to it and I don't get myself in gear somehow, I don't do those little habits that are going to get me ready and prepared for my workout, I'm just going to say screw it and I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm going to watch TV. And there is a time and a place for that. I think that a good rule of thumb is that you can skip one workout or one action towards your goal, but you can't miss 2. When you miss 2, then it becomes a habit, and then you're no longer disciplined and you're no longer fighting for whatever it is that you want most. So, if you've had an extremely long day, let's say maybe you hurt your back or you've got something going on with a family member, maybe you're moving, maybe there's something going on with your horse, right? Like there's always going to be an external factor. There's always going to be a good reason as to why you should not work out. But you have to decide, is that reason good enough for not getting one step closer to my end goal? So, my top goal, like most people listening to this podcast, I want to be a freaking world champion someday in the level 3 horsemanship or the shamanship. That is my end goal. And I've had so many things try to pull me away from that goal, and sometimes I cave in, and I've been really, really strong lately about not caving in. And I think that you just have to make that mental shift and say, "You know what? I want this badder than this little distraction." And once you make that shift, oh my god, you're on the right track and you're on the right path. You can get that tunnel vision and shit's gonna happen.
Well, and one of the things I love about that quote too is it doesn't have to be you moving 100% closer to your goal. It can be just a teeny tiny bit closer, right? The decision that you make can get you a tiny bit closer. It doesn't have to get you all the way there every time. You can have a compromise and say, you know what, maybe I'll just have a half a cookie instead. So it got you a little bit closer, but you don't have to necessarily feel like it's all or nothing. Let's keep that end goal in mind and know that whatever I am doing right now, it is going to impact my future.
Something that, you just mentioned, which I think is really hard for people, especially the type A's, like most of you listening probably are, is that all or nothing mentality is really hard to get away from. I could easily say, "You know what? I'm exhausted. I'm gonna skip my workout tonight." And then the next day, I could say, "You know what? I skipped it last night, so what's the point of even doing it tonight? Like, I'm tired. I don't want to. I'm cranky. I don't wanna do it. So I'm just gonna skip it again." And then, like I said, it just becomes a habit. And you want to create a habit of taking those little steps towards your goal. Like you just said, sometimes you might have to compromise. So, a compromise for me on a day when I don't feel like lifting weights, I could say, okay, could I lift lighter weights? Or could I go ride the bike? Or could I just stretch? Could I do Pilates? Could I do a lighter version of something? That way, at least I can say, you know what? I did the best that I could on this day and I'll get back after it tomorrow.
Exactly. And sometimes if you just get started, you will actually end up doing the thing that you initially were going to because I've been going for either a run or riding my bike every single morning. And some days I am so
Nice.
tired and I tell myself, that's okay. Just get on and do 10 minutes. And so far, every time I've gotten to 10 minutes, I'm like, I can do the rest. It's okay.
Hmm.
And then you just keep going. But it's just that make that little effort and lower the barrier to entry. So then you
Yes.
say, well, I'm already here, so I'm just going to keep going. And then you end up feeling amazing afterwards. Because,
Yep.
yeah, not only does your body feel good for doing it, but mentally you're like, hey, I kept that promise to myself.
Yes, and keeping that promise to yourself and trusting yourself is so important. And like you just mentioned, I mean, I did that Monday night. So over the weekend, I just was having like just not feeling great. So I struggle with vertigo and I just was really, really dizzy. And that kind of carried with me through a couple of days. And on Monday night, I just was not feeling great for my workout. And I was supposed to do legs. And legs are fairly taxing, especially the workout that I have programmed for myself. It's a lot of heavier weights. I do a lot of supersets, so where I'll do a strength training exercise, I'll set my weight down, and then I'll immediately do like a burnout stability exercise. So, for example, I might do dumbbell squat, and then I'll go set my weight down, hop on my Bosu ball, and do as many squat pulses as I can. So I'll go down into my squat and I'll literally just pulse, going up and down, up and down, up and down as long as I can. That is very physically taxing. And you should not be lifting weights if you're dizzy. That is not recommended. So I was kind of kicking my feet around. I'm like, I don't want to work out. And thank God my husband was like, yeah, you don't want to work out? Too bad. Go get in the gym, go start your warm up and see how you feel. And I was like, you're right. So, and I always know that for my body, I feel better if I've had carbs and like some sort of a sugar right before I work out. That usually can help with my dizziness. So I ate a rice cake, I ate a piece of bread, I ate some gummy worms. And then by the time I finished my foam rolling and my stretching, I felt barely dizzy at all. And I actually had a really strong workout. And I even did a little heavier dumbbells on some
Good
of my
job.
exercises than I have been normally. So if I had listened to myself in the beginning and just gave up, then I wouldn't have had a good workout and it wouldn't been a good start to my week.
I love that.
And that was not worth it. It was worth it to push through and see what I could do. And if I had felt dizzy, I wouldn't have pushed as hard, but I felt good, so I pushed.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect. And to piggyback off of your quote, my favorite quote is, you will work for years for everyone to say how lucky you got. Do it anyways. And I think that everything that you were just saying and talking about that goal of being a world champion, it like is basically this quote here of all that hard work that you are doing now is eventually going to pay off when maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, hopefully not 20 years, but maybe in 20 years, right? You get that globe and you say, "Oh my gosh, all of this was worth it." And those around you, maybe who don't know your story, will say, "Wow, she's so lucky. Like, how did she do that?" Well, it's because Ellie knew that every single day, whatever decision she was making was getting her closer to that goal. So no matter what the noise says around you, you're the one who knows all the hard work and effort that goes into making that ride and winning that trophy and earning the things that you do because it's hardly ever luck. It is because of hard work, dedication, both in and out of the arena for years to be able to accomplish the things that we set out for ourselves with these horses.
So I want to talk about the luck thing more because I feel like a lot of times world champions do come out of the pen and say, well, it was just my day and I got a little bit lucky. But I want to emphasize the little bit. And I have not competed at the world show. I have not shown in those level 3 classes. I have not won. So, Lauren, correct me if I am wrong. From what I have observed and from the people that I've worked with and talked to who have won before, it's not that they didn't prepare. This was not one of the quotes that I'm gonna bring up, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. Luck favors the prepared. So Clay McDowell just won the level 3 horsemanship. Who knows how long and how hard Clay had been working to prepare for that? I'm sure very hard. I'm sure that he and his horse have been putting in the work, putting in the hours. But who knows? Clay could have seen that pattern and said, "Oh my god, this is my pattern." Like, I got lucky based on what pattern they chose, right? Like, who know it could there could have been a little bit of that type of luck in it where, it's he prepared very, very well, and then he happened to get a pattern that he could execute very, very well. Like, that's where that little bit of luck comes in. It's not because he chose to lay back and go easy. He probably worked very hard day in and day out. And then there was maybe just a little sprinkle of luck on the day of. Who knows? But do you notice that at all? Would you say that that rings true?
Well, I'm going to say something maybe a little bit controversial and say that people sometimes use luck as a way to appear maybe slightly more humble and as a
Mm.
way
Mhm.
for, if you can say I was unlucky, to cover up your mistakes or lack of preparation. Because
Yeah.
let's take a look now at the pleasure versatility where Taylor Searles was draw one and she went out
Mhm.
there and knocked it out. If she would have gone out there and not had a great pattern, she could have said, "Well, I had an unlucky draw of draw 1." But you know what? It didn't matter because she was prepared and she went out there and laid it out, set the standard, and ended up winning the pattern portion because you know what? She was prepared. She worked hard every single day for probably over a year in preparation for that class. And when she comes out, I'm sure she'll say, "Hey, I just got really lucky, like, my horse was good tonight." Well, you know what? I mean, we can try to say the luck, but I don't buy it because I have been there and I know how hard it is, and I know when I walk out of there and I didn't win, it's a lot easier for me to say, "Well, it just wasn't my lucky day." But in the back of my mind, I know if I'm completely honest with myself, it's because I didn't put in the effort, or it's because I rushed something, or it's because I didn't prepare a certain way. Every now and then you have something that's unlucky, like a bird flying in front of your horse's face or something, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
but barring those experiences, I don't know that I believe in luck because it is all about your preparation that you put into it. And if you want to sound humble, you can walk out and say, "I just got lucky." But really, if we took a step back and we saw what you did every single day, nobody would ever say, "You're lucky." They'd say, "Man, you earned that."
I mean, yeah, do you remember a couple years ago when I don't remember what class it was. I think it was at the World Show where the power cut off and there was a girl showing, I think, the horsemanship, and all of a sudden all the lights went dark
Yeah,
during her pattern. Do you
yeah,
remember that?
I do.
Like, how unlucky. But I remember that story and she just kept riding. She just kept going. I'm assuming that she got a redo, but talk about unlucky, right? But the
Right.
fact that she kept riding and kept showing, that just speaks to, yes, there's some luck involved, and some days you're gonna get dealt a good hand. Some days you're going to get dealt a bad hand, but it's about how you work through it, not what's given to you.
Absolutely, and that says more to me about who you are as an individual and as a writer as to how you deal with those kind of hands that are dealt to you and rely on all the preparation that you've put in beforehand.
So, funny enough, that actually rolls right into my next quote, which I cannot pronounce the name, I'm sure correct, but I'm gonna try. Archilochus? I'm not sure. So
Okay.
don't come after me for that. But the quote is, "You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation."
Yes.
And that I feel like is so true. So here's a pet peeve of mine. When you go to the horse show and you see people that are frustrated by their level of preparedness and they take it out on their horse. If you haven't done the work at home and your horse is having an issue at the horse show and you're ripping its face off, lunging it for hours, and getting really mad at your lack of preparation and taking it out on the horse, you have some work to do. You need to go home. You need to go back to your basics. You need to figure out what the problem was. Like, let's say that somebody's having a basic issue, like they can't get their horse's head down and they haven't been able to do that very well at home. But then they get to the horse show and they see that everybody else has their head down and they feel self conscious about it. They feel like they need to be better. So then they just start ripping on their poor horse. And I just think that that is so sad. One, for the horse. I mean, God, the horse didn't deserve that. But two, you fell to your level of preparation and you got mad about it. And instead of saying, you know what, I have some work to do when I get home. And instead of leaving that horse show and being inspired and having a positive growth mindset about it, you chose to say, you know what, I'm going to take this out on myself and my horse. And that I don't think is fair. So when you go to the horse show and you feel like you showed up and you did your job and you got rewarded for it and you had a good show day, you probably fell to your level of preparedness, which meant that you did your job very well and that you worked your butt off and you were consistent and you worked hard on the things that you needed to work on. Great job. If you went to the horse show and the opposite happens, where you feel like everything just went wrong and you weren't happy with your goes and everything that could have gone wrong just went wrong. Like, because we all know every horse and every rider has their weakness, and that's going to show up some days and it's not going to show up other days. But if you get to the horse show and everything is just falling apart, you got some more work to do when you get home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that that is something that all of us need to keep in mind is we are especially under those high pressure situations. It's just whatever your foundation is going to shine through, good, bad, indifferent. So really
Mhm.
build that solid foundation and take the time to do that because you will be able to excel so much quicker if you can have that foundation. It's like, man, I mean, even in the Bible, they talk about having a foundation built on the rock and not on the sand, right? Because
Mhm.
it is so important to be able to lean on that when that tide comes rolling in because, if it's built on sand, it's just going to all wash away. And what do you have anymore? Nothing. No matter how beautiful of a house that you build, when the tide rolls in, if it's on sand, boom, it's gone.
That is a really good way to put it. And one thing too, let's say that you're showing in the level 3 egg at the world show and you get there and you are just shocked that there's a no irons part of the pattern or that they're going to make you do your rail work without your stirrups. And you're in disbelief that they would make you guys do that. That nobody warned you. You might not know, but really you do know, right? You know that that could happen when you're showing in the level 3. And that moment will show you if you've been preparing or not, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's just an example of how you should try to over prepare and try to get your mind and your body and your horse ready for anything that they could possibly ask you when you get to the horse show.
absolutely. And like, especially with the no irons, as we all know, that is not something that can be built overnight. And
No,
realistically, it's not something that I could even build in a month. It's
no, it's not. It takes time,
yeah.
and your preparation will show up. Everybody in the stands is going to be able to tell if you put in the time or not, and I'm not saying that to make you feel self-conscious, but
Right. It's
I'm
supposed to be
saying that
inspiring.
I'm saying it to inspire you to work hard.
Yep.
It's No Syrup November. Have you guys been doing No Syrup November?
Yeah. I just jump on my horse's bareback and go ride him around the pasture. That's close enough, right?
Well, you're braver than I am. I won't do that, but I will ride without syrups.
Well, Dixie's pregnant right now, so she can't really do too much, right?
Aw, Dixie Queen.
Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with show pin anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and am here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
Hi, everyone. It's your personal trainer, Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopindowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride.
My next one is the antidote to anxiety is action. And this is one that I'm going to put a little disclaimer in here. You know, us type A people can really take this to the extreme, and sometimes it's a bad quote and it's one that you shouldn't listen to at all. It's like taking a type B solution to a type A problem is probably not going to be good always, but the antidote to anxiety is action. I think when applied properly is one of the best pieces of advice that we can ever receive, especially if we are complaining about something. Like I always tell myself, if I complain about something more than 3 times without taking some sort of course of action, I'm not allowed to complain about it anymore because that means I'm not willing to do something in order to make it better, try something different. If it bothers me that much, I need to do something.
Yeah, that accountability, that self personal accountability is so important. And it's
Yes.
something you build, it's not something you're born with. That's something that you have to build.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many times where we feel anxious, and it's because we feel like there are no options. It feels like we are stuck. And so, if we can start taking action, even if it's just baby steps, like we talked about earlier, towards a different outcome, you can feel that sense of control come back to you and maybe start to feel some peace. And by trying different things, you can realize where that peace lies, where that excitement drives you to versus just being stuck exactly where you are, not being happy with it, not being sure about it. Just take some action. And a lot of times, this action too can be guided by your trainer, it can be guided by your mentor, it can be guided by books, podcasts, is something that inspires you. But definitely the antidote to anxiety is action, and I, like I said, can take this to the extreme and maybe not think things through all the way. I just jump and I say, "Yes, this is what we're doing." But it honestly, it helps so much. Even if I feel like I jumped down the wrong hole, at least I'm moving and I don't have time to be nervous about it because I know that whatever outcome is going to be because of a choice that I made. And I know that I have choices and I could be wrong in that choice, but I know it was my choice. And so I think the exciting part too is the more choices and the more action you take, you do get wiser. You know, sometimes you got to touch that stove, but you realize what's hot and what's not. And it ends
For
up
sure.
being pretty good.
So that's something that my trainer and I talk about sometimes is so I have such a fear of failure that if I'm trying something new or that I'm not sure about or that I don't think I'll be good at, I'll just avoid it at all costs. Really, really proficient at it. And my trainer was kind of getting after me about it not that long ago. And she was like, how are you gonna get better if you don't try? And I don't remember exactly how she said it, but that was the message. And I'm j it could probably partially be due to the fact that I have not had my own horse for a long time, and so I'm riding other people's horses that are cost a lot of money, and I don't wanna mess up their horses, right? Like, I have a good reason why to not to break things apart and let things get ugly, right? Like, sometimes I get nervous that I won't be able to ride my way out of it, and then I'll create a hole that now it's the now the trainer has to fix or the owner has to deal with, right? So I've had this fear, and so sometimes I'll avoid getting into one a little bit because I'm scared that I'll create a problem that I can't fix. And so I'll just kind of avoid doing some of the harder things. And then with my back injury, I also get nervous that if things start to get a little sideways and start to, like let's say that I'm asking a horse to do a lead change and it's not wanting to pick up its shoulder or move its hip over. So I need to stick my foot in it a little bit harder. I get scared that if that horse goes to do something like buck or kick, that I won't have enough stability through my back to be able to stick it and that I'll end up in the dirt. And I don't want to end up in the dirt. So then I'll just avoid doing that action entirely and I'll try to cover it up and do something else instead. Like, let's say that I'm doing lead changes and the horse picks up the wrong lead or changes before I want them to. Sometimes I'll want to rather, like, break them back down to, like, a jog and then pick back up on the lead that I wanted, and my trainer gets after me about that sometimes. She's like, "No, you just gotta push them back onto that other lead." But I'm like, "Ugh," I get a little nervous doing that, like, that's hard for me mentally and physically to do because if I am going on one lead and then the horse swaps and I wasn't expecting it, sometimes that'll put me out of balance, and then I'll get nervous that if I try to put them back onto that other lead that I won't be able to have enough balance through my seat, and so that I just won't do it. But I have gotten through that by action, and I've done 2 different things. The first thing is that I've really, in this last, like, month or so, been able to gain a lot of the stability that I've been missing. So I actually recently learned that I have a fused spine. So no wonder why have I even told you that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, okay,
It's
okay.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah, so no wonder why it's so hard for me to maintain stability when things start to get a little sideways or if I get bounced out of the saddle. Like, I literally can't move my hip and my back in a way to stay down in the saddle. And so I've been kind of changing my workouts and changing how I view my body and like giving myself more grace and leaning into this injury instead of leaning away from it and just kind of manhandling it, I guess you could say. Like, I've been able to say, "You know what? Okay, some things are gonna be hard for you, but let's see how we can make it better." And so I've been changing my exercises, and I've been pushing myself more, and I've seen a lot of success with it. And I'm actually at a point now like, there was a point, like, a year ago where there's this horse that I ride in the barn, and she likes to push out to the left with her shoulders in the 3 gates with me specifically. She doesn't do it with the trainer, she does it with me. And I have not had enough stability and enough strength to stick my leg in her to push her back straight. So I've really been struggling with it. And literally in like the last like 4 to 6 weeks, I've finally been able to get through it more.
Good
And I think it's because
job.
yeah, and it's because 1, I am strong enough to be able to hold that position, but 2, because I'm stronger, I'm getting more brave about like, okay, even if I stick my foot in it and even if the horse kicks out, then I'm going to be okay. And I want to preface this by saying I don't ride rank horses, right? Like this is just me and my own fears. Like this horse that I ride, she's never bucked, she's never kicked out. I've been riding her for years now, very consistently. She's never done any of this. It's just me and my own fears that I'm pushing onto her because I'm scared and because of my own past traumas. So, learning how to ride more in the moment and reacting based off what the horse is telling me in that moment instead of listening to my preconceived notions has been really helpful too.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's hard.
I know it is so hard. But so what are some of the things that you're doing differently with the fused spine, like exercise wise?
So I'm gonna be able to learn more about it December 1st. I have an appointment with a spine specialist here local to me, which I'm kind of nervous about. But I have always had a really, really hard time with some basic things, and I just thought that it was because I was weak muscularly, but really, it's probably because I've always had this fusion, and, like, it's something that's probably gotten maybe worse over time, but it's
Wow.
likely something that I was born with, and I've always struggled with basic things like walking in a straight line.
Yeah.
Walking in a straight line has always been really, really hard for me, and I've always just not had very good control over my left hip. So, I played soccer for 12 years, and I was always extremely right-sided dominant. Like, it's common for athletes or people in general to have one side that's stronger than the other, but it's like night and day how much better I am kicking a soccer ball with my right foot versus my left. And, like, I just never felt like I could get my left hip straight. Like, anytime that I would kick the ball, it would always shank to the right or shank to the left. Like, I literally could never get the ball to fly straight off my
Yeah.
foot,
Mhm.
and I always felt like it was because my left hip was just stuck. Like, I couldn't get it to open up and swing through the kick range of motion, and that's why I could never get the ball to go straight. And I always just thought that, "Oh, like, you just need to keep practicing and keep trying and keep getting stronger and keep trying to push through it," and now that I know what it actually is, I'm able to say, "Wow, okay, like, I know what's causing it now, and it's not from my lack of knowledge or lack of ability. Like, it's just how I'm put together. It's how my body's aligned. And so I've been trying to do more exercises that are not working against that fusion, but working with it.
Mhm.
So I've been focusing more on specific muscles that are around that joint, trying to get those specific muscles stronger instead of trying to get that whole area better as a whole, if that makes sense. Like in the past, I just would get frustrated that the hip wouldn't work as a whole. So I would do more compound exercises to working multiple muscles, multiple joints at the same time. And now I've started isolating more to specific muscles. So instead of doing bigger exercises like squats and lunges and that sort of stuff, I've been doing more like leg extensions and hip abductions and just trying to isolate and make each muscle in each body part around that hip stronger individually instead of as a whole. And that I've had a lot of success with, but it's just trial and error. And then I've also just been adding a lot of weight to my core exercises. And so doing the same types of core exercises, but adding dumbbells or adding plates, just figuring out different creative ways to add more load onto my core exercises. And so my ab and my back muscles have gotten a lot stronger from doing that. So that has been super, super helpful as well.
Yeah, I could see all of that making a difference. So I'm just so glad that you found it out because, a lot of
Me
times
too.
we think that we are maybe just not trying hard enough, but
Well,
sometimes it's just a physical thing.
right. So I just was getting really frustrated with myself because I'm like, I'm literally a personal trainer for horse people and I can't figure out how to get myself stable. Like, why do I have any business telling other people how to do it? Like, that's kind of the point that I was at. And now I can say, oh, like it's not from lack of effort. I just needed to put the right effort in, right? So just kind of change what I was doing instead of the frequency or how much. So that has actually been a really rewarding process.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to see where this goes. And look at you. It's gonna lead you to being a world champion. And then when people say you got so lucky, you're gonna say, remember that one time I had to find out that my back was fused and then completely redo my whole routine.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
worked hard.
Yeah. Not luck. Yeah. Maybe there's a little bit of luck, but it's not luck that got you there.
Exactly. Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats, we have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. I wanted to take a moment to thank our very first gold sponsor, Hobby Horse Clothing Company. If you're looking for a cost effective way to elevate your look at the horse show, check out what Hobby Horse has to offer. From budget friendly crystal jackets to simple show shirts to stylish lifestyle tops, Hobby Horse has everything you need to look your best. Make sure you use code EYR2025 for an additional 10% off at checkout. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Elevate Your Ride. We're so excited to continue helping you elevate your performance in the saddle. To keep bringing you quality content and information, we're asking you to help us. Tell your friends about us on our podcast, like and share a meaningful quote you saw on our social media, write us a review on Spotify or Facebook. You can also join our Facebook group and ask all your health and fitness questions, or maybe post a success story to motivate another amateur. Your engagement really helps us support and encourage the equestrian community. We're also inviting sponsors and supporters to help us build our show. As a sponsor, starting at just $150, you'll receive marketing on our podcast, website, and growing social media platforms for your business. It's the perfect way to connect with the equestrian community and showcase your brand to our dedicated listeners. And for our supporters, your $50 contribution gets you a shout out on our social media and website. Every bit of support really helps fuel the show and helps us inspire and motivate equestrians. So, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can scroll down to the show notes of this episode and look for the become a supporter or become a sponsor links and click on those to get some more information. Thank you for listening. We can't wait to continue expanding our platform and helping you elevate your ride. All right. So, my next quote is success is not owned, it's leased, and rent is due every day. I love that too. And I feel like it is so true. So, I always tell people that the crappy thing about fitness is the second that you stop doing your workouts consistently and at the intensity that you were doing them, your body's going to take a freaking vacation. And your body will hold on to like your base that you've built. That takes quite a long time for like your base to go away. So let's say that you've started a strength training program and you started small and you started slow, so started with light weights, focused on your joint stability, focus on your muscles that were working through the movements, focused on having good form. Like that's your base, right? And then once you have your base, you're building on it. So you're building like your muscular size, your muscular strength, your coordination, your cardio fitness. Like those are more I would consider what you build on top of your base. And those things that you build on top of your base will go away in an instant. Your strength, your cardio, your coordination, that sort of stuff goes away really, really quickly. Like, so I've been working out very, very consistently lately, and my body feels freaking fantastic. But I know that if I took a month off, it would take me 2 months to get back to where I am right now. Now, if I took 6 months off, then it's probably going to take me like a year to get back to where I was. But it's not going to take me 2 years to get back to where I was. You know what I mean? Like that base is likely still going to hold on. From my personal experience and working with my clients, that base seems to last around 6 months, maybe long closer to a year, depending on how long. Like the longer that you've been working on your fitness, the stronger that base is going to be. So it kind of depends on you and how long you've been working out and what intensity and how consistent you've been. Like there's a lot of factors into it, but it is something that you consistently have to put effort into, and you consistently have to put more effort into it. A lot of people in the fitness industry like to use the term shocking the muscles. That's a very, very common term to use. So let's say that I do bicep curls with 10-pound dumbbells and I do 3 sets, 10 reps, and I do that for 6 months. That first month, I'm going to feel the bicep curls and I'm going to feel those bicep muscles working and getting stronger. And then by month 2, they're still gonna be getting stronger. I'm still gonna be pushing myself. It still might be a little bit challenging. By month 3, it's gonna feel easier and you're gonna be not pushing as hard. It's not gonna be as taxing on your body. You're not gonna get as much benefit out of it. By month 4, it really is not pushing you anymore, and you're not gonna see those gains. I'm not gonna say you're necessarily gonna see a decline because you're still doing the bicep curls, but you need to be challenging your body every 6 to 8 weeks, I'd say, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit longer, kinda depends on you and your goals and how your fitness level, but every 6 to 8 weeks, you need to start doing things that are going to challenge it more. You might need to add in more reps, more sets, more weight. You might need to stand on one leg. You might need to stand on a Bosu ball. You might need to do a different exercise. Like you have to constantly keep challenging yourself and finding new, exciting, creative ways to challenge yourself. That's what's really cool, but also really frustrating about exercise is you constantly have to be working at it. It's not something that you can just put on the back burner and expect to see a lot of success at. You always, always have to be fighting for it every single day. So I lift weights 3 to 4 days a week. And I have to continue lifting 3 to 4 days a week, every week consistently in order to keep making progress or to keep maintenance. I have to work out that much. And if I stop doing it, then I'm going to stop seeing those results very, very quickly.
Yeah, and for those of you who have been on this journey with us for since the beginning or even just the last 6 months, you've heard me say, "Oh man, I took some time off of working out and now I'm really struggling." Well, back in August, I finally got back on the train and was started to be consistent again, and I started working out 3 times a week. I started exercise or doing the cardio as well and making it a part of my routine again and taking it very seriously, doing the progressive overload as Ellie has been speaking about. And let me tell you, it it's taken a long time. Ben Ellie and I finished working out before I took that little break. I could do about 10 pull-ups. And when I started working out again, I could only do 1, but you know what? Here we are in November, and I'm up to 3, doing able to do
That's
3
awesome.
strict pull-ups in a row. And so but that just tells you because I had worked that was a big thing that you and I worked on was being able to do these pull-ups, and it took us years
Mm-hmm.
to get to the point
It did.
of
It took a
being
long
able
time.
and I was so proud of that, and I kind of just, like, at that point, like, getting to 10 was pretty easy, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll always be able to do that." And then once I got back and I started working out again, I was like, "Okay, my goal is gonna be, let's just say 5. That's gotta be easy." And I was like, "I could barely do 1." And let me tell
Yeah,
you, I've been fighting to get 3, and this week I got to 3, and I was really
that's
excited.
awesome.
And so I'm still going for 5 by the end of the year. I don't know if I'll get there, but I'm
Yeah.
working on it. But I mean, it is due every single day. And let me tell
Mhm.
you, at the beginning, rent is very, very difficult to pay. But then
Mhm.
after a
It's very
while,
expensive.
yeah, after a while, you almost kind of start looking forward to paying the rent. And that can be said
Mhm.
too when it comes to your writing. And that is something that I truly experienced when I had that finished horse. I would say right now, because I work a lot with my young horses. And so that's a completely different experience than maybe our average listener has of when I had that good finished horse and I did have the success I could not just rely on that. If I were to have won the world and said, "Okay, that next year, I'm not gonna practice. He's fine. He's gonna sit in the pasture." I would have shown up at the next horse show, and I'd have gotten my butt kicked.
Mm.
I still had to act like that championship that I won, which I was so appreciative and thankful for, didn't happen. And that is the wildest part, I think, about competition is we have to walk this line of appreciating and being so thankful and excited and happy for what we won, but then almost immediately turning around and saying, okay, someone else is coming for me. So let's just keep going. But because rent is due every single day and you have to put in the effort and you cannot say one success is going to get you through to the next one.
So, so true. It sucks. It takes constant effort. You just gotta keep chipping away, chipping away.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And my final quote of the day is in order to have what you truly want, you must first become who you really are. And that's by Tim Grover, who is my absolute favorite person to listen to. He has 2 books. We did one book club on Relentless, which I thought was just life changing for me. But him as a personal trainer and coach, I just am constantly inspired. Try to find every book, every podcast, everything that he shares. But this quote right here, it shaped me so much because I knew what I really wanted, but I knew that the person that needed to do that was not who I was being every single day. And so how was I going to achieve what I really wanted if I wasn't who I really needed to be in order to get that? And that is a really, really interesting and difficult thing to kind of grapple with because that's when you're, for me as a people pleaser, grappling with the expectations of those around you and the expectations of society and just saying, but I really want this and everybody thinks you should be this. And so it's being able to be brave enough to say, man, in order to get what I really want, I need to be that person who gets that. And that's who I really am because I want that. So I'm going to do it and I'm going to lean into it no matter what everybody around me thinks or says. And a lot of times they aren't necessarily against who that person is that you need to be. It's just the fact that you're different than maybe who you had been playing the role of. They're still going to love you when you become the person who you really want to be to get the thing you really want. It's just got to take time sometimes for people to adjust and say, "Oh, well, I didn't even know that that's what you wanted to begin with, but if you woulda said that, then, yeah, I'm still on your team and I'll still support you." And, that quote, I think, has really, really sat with me in a lot of different areas of life, but a big part in the show world.
So I'm gonna get real personal with you guys for a moment. So I am reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins right now. And let me tell you what, if you need to get off your butt, like if you're listening to this episode because you need some motivation, uh, go buy Can't Hurt Me and go start reading it like right now. Like talk about a way to inspire somebody to not have excuses and to just be the person that you want to be. And becoming the person that you want to be is not easy to do. So, part of the book, and I'm only on like chapter 3, so I have not gotten very far into it.
It's
But
so
at the
good.
end,
I've also listened to this book.
Ugh. So I at the end of every chapter, there's like an action step that you're supposed to do. And I think it was at the end of either chapter 2 or 3, I can't remember. But you're supposed to write down on pieces of paper what it is that you want and how you're going to get there and what you don't like about yourself and put it on your mirror and look at them every day. And I've tried that before, just, like, put a sticky note on the mirror, look at it, and then eventually it gets kinda gross, and I just throw it away, and I didn't really do anything towards it. But let me tell you, David Goggins, you freaking got me. And I tell you what, since I have been reading this book, I have been no excuses, put in the work. I've been the most consistent I've ever been with my fitness, ever. And I'm gonna read you guys my sticky notes. So my top overall goal says, I want to be an AQHA world champion in the horsemanship and showmanship. And then underneath it, I have one of my sticky notes, and it says, I am not fit enough to be the personal trainer, rider, mom, wife, person I want to be. And you could say that that's me being hard on myself, but that's reality. Like, I put my fitness kind of on the back burner for a while, longer than I would like to admit. And I never took it off the burner, but it was not the forefront. And part of that was trying to figure out my back injury. And I just spent quite a long time, like over a year, trying to address my back pain. And I let myself get weaker in some areas trying to figure that out. And that's an excuse. It is what it is. And I let my fitness slide in some areas that I didn't need to, that I shouldn't have, but I let it happen. I had lots of life events going on. I moved twice in the last year. I got married. I got bought a house. Right. There's valid reasons to let it kind of slide to the back burner. But those things are over now. And it's time to get back into shape. So my action step towards that is I want to have more strength and stability to have more functional fitness. And so I do my corrective exercise, physical therapy exercises 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. No excuses. First thing in the morning, I get up and I do them. On Monday night, I do my leg workout. On Tuesday night, I do my upper body workout. On Wednesday, I do full body. On Thursday, I either do Pilates or yoga. On Friday, I go to the barn and I ride about 2 horses. And I do showmanship. And then Saturday, I go to the barn and I usually just ride 1 horse and maybe do showmanship. And then those are kinda like my lighter rest days. And then on Sunday, I do cardio. So every single day of the week, I am active. I'm doing something to work towards that goal every day, not 2 days a week, not 3 days a week, every day. And I have been consistent on that for the last 3 weeks, and I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep going, okay? And then the next sticky note is I let fear hold me back from being the writer that I want to be. And the action step that I put next to it is I will put myself in safe but uncomfortable positions in the saddle and remind myself that I am safe and I am capable until outside factors define my sense of security. So that goes along with what I was saying earlier about like riding in the moment and listening to the horse and listening to what the horse underneath me is telling me in that moment, not going back into the PTSD and the past years and the past accident, riding what's underneath me in the moment. And then my last sticky note is I avoid doing hard things I think I won't be good at. Again, another thing that I talked about. And then my action step is I'm going to push myself to suck at more things with work, writing, and personal until failure doesn't scare me. It excites me. And like I told you guys earlier, I was doing that at the barn the other day. I was riding through some tougher moments and I didn't back down. I didn't get scared. I had a really good ride. I've been doing other things for work that I've kind of been avoiding because I didn't think I'd be very good at them. And I'm better at it. I'm doing things in my personal life that I've avoided doing in the past. I'm doing things in my fitness that I've avoided doing in the past because I knew I wouldn't be good at it. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing about it. And somewhere, hopefully where I wanna be, but we're gonna find out.
Well, I 100% believe that you will because everything that you said, I love how there's action items. And you know what? I could sit here and tell you that I disagree with some of the harsh truths, but if that is what you are experiencing, we do need to be maybe a little bit more honest with ourselves as to why we aren't achieving our goals. And I love that you were honest with yourself with what you think you need to do, but didn't just leave it there of having then the action plan to be able to say, "Hey, I don't like this, but this is what I'm gonna do to be better." Because like we've
Mhm.
talked about so many times in that growth mindset is just because you don't like something doesn't mean that's where you have to stay. So take that as and use it as inspiration, use it as a guideline for you and say, this isn't where I want to be. So, what action am I going to take to get me out of this situation? And then just go with it until you realize whether or not that was the right way to go and then change course again if you need to. But do something. And I love the actions that you are taking towards the dreams that you want because, I mean, they're going to happen. I 100% believe in you with the
Thank
steps.
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I am so proud of you for what you have set up for yourself.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna get there. I was gonna save all of those things for the subscriber only, but I guess that you guys are getting it too. But the funny thing is I believe it too. Like I know that if I keep working on what I love about this book is that it's no excuses. Look inside yourself, see who you are, and if you don't like what you see, then do something about it. Like I like action steps. I don't like excuses. I That's just who I am. And I find that if I'm having excuses, it's because I'm being lazy or because I have fear or whatever else it is, right? There's some sort of feeling that I'm avoiding. And I don't like that. I'm not a very feely person. I don't like feelings a whole lot. Um, so doing something about it is good for me. I work very, very well with that. And I work well with harsh lines. And like you heard, I read my notes. I wasn't mean to myself. I didn't call myself mean names. I didn't
Right.
like I was just honest. And if you look at yourself and really, really look, you know where you're lacking and what steps you need to take to get better. You know what it is. Everybody has something that's holding them back. Everybody knows what it is. We usually try to shove it deep down inside and not acknowledge it because we don't like feeling inept or unable or lacking. Those are not good feelings. So we tend to just shove them down and not feel them. But this book brought those feelings out of me. I had not externalized some of those feelings before, I had internalized them, and when in the book it said, "Look at yourself, write down what you want on your mirror, and write down what you're missing and how you're gonna get there," I immediately knew what those things were. I didn't have to think about it. I immediately got up, grabbed a piece of paper, started writing stuff down. I didn't have to think about it for a moment. And if you're listening to this and I bet you're thinking what things you are lacking in that you know you need to get better at, go write them on a sticky note, go put them on a mirror, write down the action steps, do it. And if you need some more motivation, go buy Can't Hurt Me. We're not going to do that book as a book club episode because it is a lot. And I don't think that it pertains to the average listener on here. But, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of, bad words, there's a lot of it's intense. Intense is a good way to put it. So, I don't think it's appropriate to share, like, the actual phrases and, quotes and stuff from the book, but the message is, it I hate the phrase life-changing, but so far, it's been life-changing for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Since you talked about the subscriber only episode, I think that I am going to make some sticky notes for myself and we can maybe share those on the subscriber only. So stay tuned for
Yay.
that. Since we got a little sneak peek into Ellie's, we'll see what my sticky notes are. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.